Warm introduction. And thanks to all of you for being here. Because of the lights, I can't see all of you, but at least you can see me. The first time I saw Prime Minister Rabin was at the occasion that the Consul General shared with us on the White House lawn on September 13th, 1993. But I was very fortunate to get to interact with him when I made Aliyah, moved to Israel in early 1995. The Oslo Accords had already been signed. Peace with Jordan had been obtained. I was working as the assistant to then President and CEO of Coor Industries, Benny Gaon, which at the time, Coor was the flagship of the Israeli economy. And we're about to have an initial public offering, an IPO, for $120 million in the international capital markets, which numbers heretofore were not really known in the Israeli corporate community. And Rabin would periodically invite Benny to come to visit with him at his home in Ramat Aviv. And on a few occasions, Benny was kind enough to invite me to join him. Rabin was not a businessman, but he understood how important it was to invest in the economic prosperity of the Palestinians, Jordan, Egypt, how important it was to invest in the economic viability of our neighbors, how important it was to invest in the economic vitality of the region, in the infrastructure of Israel itself. He understood that for Israel to play on a global stage, she would need an investment-grade bond rating, even if he didn't understand exactly how that comes about. He did not live to see Startup Nation. He did not live to see the high-tech boom. But he planted the seeds for those to happen. He invested in bringing in nearly 1 million immigrants from the former Soviet Union. And he invested in the peace process, which turned out to be the most profound, the bravest investment, and one that he paid for with his life. We have seen over the course of this evening a lot about the man focusing on his final moments and focusing on his term, his second term as Prime Minister of Israel. As part of his legacy, I want to remind a lot of people here in the room that Rabin played such an important role since the creation of the modern state of Israel in 1948. Since May 14th, 1948, there have been 12 presidents of the United States, and coincidentally, 12 prime ministers. Rabin interacted, I guess, at the tail end of Bush Sr. and obviously the first 3 years of Bill Clinton's presidency during his own second term. In his first term, from 74 to 1977, he interacted with President Ford and President Carter. But in 1968, after serving as Chief of Staff in the Six-Day War, he was appointed Ambassador to the United States. We now take the relationship between Israel and the United States as sacrosanct. We recognize and appreciate that the United States is certainly the best friend Israel's ever had, and arguably the best nation friend ever of the Jewish people. A lot of us wear the pins with the Israeli and the American flags co-joined. But until the Johnson presidency, until Yitzhak Rabin leaving his position of Chief of Staff, what's your encore, developed the relationship with the White House and with the Pentagon that made the United States Israel's chief supplier of weaponry necessary to secure her survival. The United States did not supply arms. Harry Truman was the first president, head of state to recognize the state of Israel on May 14th, 1948. But there was an embargo against selling arms to Israel or anyone in the region, and his successors respected that until the days following the Six-Day War. And that became critical in the Yom Kippur War. And the relationship that the United States and Israel has enjoyed ever since, including during both terms of Yitzhak Rabin as Prime Minister of Israel, has very much to do with his diplomatic skills in that critical role. Now, of the 12 Prime Ministers of Israel, 6 are no longer with us. And we should celebrate their accomplishments, and we do. We should mention them by name. David Ben-Gurion, Moshe Sharet, Levi Eshkol, Golda Meir, Menachem Begin. These are luminaries and heroes of the Jewish people, but we only have a memorial for Yitzhak Rabin. And we've heard today some of the many reasons why that is. But I think it's also because we recognize that the event, the assassination of a prime minister by a fellow Jew, a fellow Israeli, reminds us of the worst that we can be. But the aftermath also reminds us of the best that we can be. and divided, Israel may not long survive. But united, she can continue to thrive. And the timeless words of President Clinton's eulogy, Shalom Chaver, goodbye, friend, became a bumper sticker and became a balm for a country desperately in need of healing. And it enabled Israelis to coalesce after an incomprehensible moment that even today, 16 years later, as the Consul General reminded us, few of us are able to completely take in. And I submit that if a definition of a friend is somebody you miss and appreciate even more when they're no longer with us, then we can all feel a certain kinship to Rabin. He really was a very humble man. Frankly, ironically, all of this would embarrass him. He wouldn't want this kind of adulation. He rejected it while he was alive, and it would have made him very uncomfortable to see this and all the statements that the Consul General reminded us of and have been spoken of for the past 16 years. But he did give us something. He gave us a gift of a vision, a gift of courage, a gift of inspiration. And I hope we're worthy of those gifts. So to paraphrase the president, Toda Chaver. Thank you.